Hi, church family. I have a message for each and every one of you, and it was birthed out of what I think many people have is confusion on who they are. They get wrapped up in what they do, their job. They get wrapped up in the many roles that they have within their lives, such as father, mother, brother, sister, so on and so forth. And they wrap their identity into these things. But the truth is our identity is only defined by one thing, and that is being a child of God. So we're going to call this teaching, Who Are You? Because I want you to ask yourself who you are, and I want you to realize who you are. That first and foremost, you are a child of God. And as a child of God, everything else you do should revolve around this very identity. Being a child of God, because the truth is you are the example of who God is to all those you come in contact with, and to all those you are in relationship with, even to your children, your mother, your brother, your sisters, no matter who it is. You're that example of who God is and what a relationship looks like to him. So I want your identity to be wrapped up in this so that you can be a good example. Now, when I ask you this question, who are you? I'm not asking what your name is, where you are from, or what you do for a living. I'm not asking if you are a husband or a wife. I'm asking you what you identify by. The sad reality for many is that they have wrapped their identities around things that don't truly define who they are. They say, I'm a mother, or I'm a father, I'm a mechanic, or my name is AJ. Yet your identity is not wrapped up in these previously mentioned roles and titles. The truth is your identity is only associated to one thing, God. For he created you and he gave you your identity. You are first and foremost, before anything else, a child of God. In this teaching, we're going to talk about your identity, your purpose, and how the two relate to one another in the form of your call to Christ, and how you can live as the example of Christ in the lives of others. Let's get started. Point number one. You are a child of God. In 1 John chapter 3, verse 1, it says, see what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. This is your identity. You are God's child. You have been accepted into God's family and his sonship, or daughtership, if that's a word. Anyways, this is your identity. It's the root of who you are and your core being. Sure, you may be a parent or a brother or a sister. You may have different jobs and titles, but none of these things actually define who you are. They are simply roles and titles. But your identity is a Christian, a child of God. And that's who you are. 1 Colossians chapter 1, verse 16 tells us all things were created through him and for him. So you see, your very purpose for being is relationship with God. You were not created to be a father, though you might be one. This is simply one of the roles and purposes God has purposed you for. It's not your identity. This is your responsibility, a role God has entrusted you with. It is not who you are. We are children of the Most High God. We are created through him and for him, and that is what our identity is. So when someone asks you who you are, let your answer be a child of the Most High God. And this leads us to point number two. He has a plan and he has a purpose for you. God created you to be his, and he created each and every one of us with a purpose or purposes. So your identity is in who you belong to, and your purpose is what he specifically created you for, the different roles that he has purposed for you. Now, we can get into purpose being some of us were created to be parents, and some pastors, some both. The point being, God has a plan for you in mind, and he has had it since before you were created. And he had it in mind when you were created. Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5 tells us, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart as a prophet among the nations. You have purpose, and some of you have purposes. These are not what give you your identity, but rather your identity gives you purpose. God loves you, and he desires to use you in many ways, and he desires to use you as the example set to all those within this world. All these things are not what makes you you. You being a father doesn't make you a child of God. You being a mechanic or a pastor does not make you a child of God. Being a child of God, being created by the Most High God, loved by the Most High God, is what makes you who you are. And he desires to use you as his child within this world to be a light shining in the darkness, to be the example this world has of who he is. God made you and desires for you to be his example to this world, to be a light in this world, to be a beacon of hope in this world. So no matter what purpose or role you play, let it be wrapped up around the identity you have, a child of God, and let you represent, and may you represent this identity well. In fact, Romans chapter 12, verses 6 through 8 says, in his grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. God has made you and purposed you for his goodness and greatness within this world. No matter what it is you are doing, make sure you are doing it well because you represent him. For you are the example this world has of who God is. So represent him well. This is leading us to our final point, which is point number 3. You are a Christian. Now, Christians were given the title not because they claimed to be Christian. They didn't say, oh, I'm a Christian, that's me. They were given this title by the role in which they played, by the way they conducted themselves. They were given this to describe those who followed the way. That's why the word Christian came about. It was meant to be derogatory to say, oh, those are those followers of Jesus. But now it is our claim, it is our title, it is our role to be played. No matter what it is that you are doing it as a Christian. And the truth of this is you are a Christian if you belong to Christ. And this is more than a title. It's a role. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 20 tells us, now then, we are ambassadors for Christ. As though God were pleading through us, we implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. So whether you are a father or a mother, you are the example to your children of who God is. No matter your occupation, you are the example of Christ and who he is, and what it looks like to be in relationship with him to your coworkers. And no matter your title or role in any given situation, you are representing Christ in every situation. For that's who you are, a child of God, a Christian. So represent him well. You belong to God, and he is using his children as his representatives. What you do and who you are all wrapped up in the identity given as a Christian. And Jesus tells us in John chapter 13, verse 35, your love for others will prove to the world that you are my disciples. God is love, and we are his portrayal of love. In all we do and wherever we go, we are the examples this world has in who Christ is and what relationship looks like with him. In 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 16 reminds us to be holy as he is holy. As his, we practice holiness and righteousness. We seek him in all things, and we seek to become like him in all things. We reflect his love to all those we come in contact with, and we seek to set his example in every relationship that we have as well. This is what being a child of God is. Bringing him into every area of our life, seeking him in every area of our life, seeking to bring him into every area of our life and to represent him well in every area of our life. Being a child of God is centering our lives around him. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, Jesus tells us, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all other things will be added. Jesus is life. Let us center our lives around him and seek to be like him in all areas of our life. Let us seek to represent him well in all areas of our lives. So then in all areas of our lives, what we are doing are we are bringing Christ to those areas. This concludes Who Are You? And I hope you've learned that you are a child of the Most High God before anything else. Let's go over our points. Point number 1, you are a child of God. 1 John chapter 3 verse 1 tells us, see what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. And that is what we are. Your identity, first and foremost, and above anything else, is that you are a child of God. This leads us to point number 2. You have a purpose or purposes, and these coincide with your identity. In Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, it says, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart. In other words, God, when he created you, he had all the roles and titles that you would fulfill in mind. Because you are his, he has decided to use you in many areas and many ways within this world. As his child, be sure to represent him well in all areas of his life. Because when we were first called Christians, thousands of years ago, when the church first came to be, it was used to describe those who followed after Christ. And I pray that your life becomes that representation as well, leading us to point number 3, which is Christian. This is your identity. You are a Christian. You are a child of God. You belong to Jesus. You are God's child. You are a Christian. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 20 tells us, now then, we are ambassadors for Christ. As though God were pleading through us, we implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. In other words, we are living as Christ's people in this dark world. We're living with the same mission, that's to bring the gospel and the good news of Jesus Christ to all those we encounter. It's to be representing him well and to doing God's will, which is bringing the lost and the broken to God. And we do this by living as he taught us to live, and seeking to bring him into all areas of our lives. We are not simply Christians at church. We're Christians at work. We're Christians in the home. We're Christians wherever we go. And we represent Christ. So represent him well. No matter what your role or title, be sure that these roles and titles are lived in a manner that lives up to the identity given to you as a child of God and as a Christian. And let us live as Christ did, being sure to honor God in all areas of our lives. God bless you all. And remember, Jesus loves you, church family, and so do I.